title companies, real estate brokers. I want to talk to you about how to sell the property of a deceased owner without wasting your time and ending up with nothing. We all know the experience. It's happened to me too. Worked very hard on a deal only to find out it falls through just when you think you're getting ready to close and make the money. Well, don't despair. Don't just give up on properties of deceased owners. I have put together a 7-part series in which I discuss a variation of things that would be of interest to you. In part 1, I talked about the benefits that will be presented in the series, the benefits for listening. In part 2, I talked about 2 ways to sell a property of a deceased owner. In part 3, I discussed the 7 steps to sell through the probate court. In part 4, yes, I talked about the elephant in the room, the disagreeable heirs who don't always want to settle on a price or agree to sell at all. Part 5, I discussed realtor fees and attorney's fees. And now in this part 6, yes, I want to talk about timelines. Sometimes the first thing a realtor will ask me is, how long is this going to take? I mean, some realtors say, well, I worked with a probate attorney, it was in probate, and we didn't get a court order for a year. Just how long will it take to get that court order so we can close on this deal? Well, let me give you one of those answers that people don't like. It depends. But let me tell you some general guidelines so you can really know what to expect. When you're selling in probate court, the first thing you need to do is you need to get a personal representative. If you decided to sell through the probate court and not just put the property in the heir's name and work with them to sell it, and you're going to sell through probate court, you need to get a personal representative. This will usually take 2 to 4 weeks if all of the heirs agree on one person. But if they don't agree on who's supposed to be the personal representative and they want to fight about it, it could take 3 months to a year. So if you clearly have a situation where folk are not agreeing on the personal representative and they can't even get to the first base on getting this process done, you might want to consider maybe you don't want to be involved in this. Okay, after the personal representative is appointed, then the next thing you need to do is get an order authorizing the sale. Now, here again, it will take 2 to 4 weeks to get that order authorizing the sale, depending upon which judge you're dealing with and if you have all the consents of the beneficiaries or heirs who own the property. If you don't have all the consents and you can't get everybody to agree, the process will be a little bit longer because you're going to have to set in Florida a special hearing to get that approval. So if you don't have all the consents from all the heirs, it could take 2 to 4 months or more, just depending upon how the heirs are fighting and what they are saying. I've had cases where, it took a long time because one of the heirs lived in the property and was saying he wanted to buy it but couldn't afford to buy it. So every time we went to court, the judge was a little bit sympathetic. Well, are you really going to be able to buy it? So it just depends upon whether you have all the consents. If you do, 2 to 4 weeks. If you don't, look at 4 months or more. If you don't have all the agreement of all the heirs. After you get the court order authorizing the sale, how long will it take to close? Well, typically it will take 1 month, or you can normally close within 30 days if there are no title issues and no financing issues. But if you have issues that you find in the title commitment that relate to open permits on the property that was never properly closed, or water liens, or God forbid code violations on the property and nobody ever paid the penalty fee associated with that code violation, you can be several months closing even after you get a court order authorizing the sale. So it just depends. You have to evaluate each case and see if you find any of these things in there that are going to hold you up, and work on these problems early so that when you get the court order from the court, you can go ahead and close. Now, here's a big one. And please listen, all realtors, title companies, real estate brokers. When you close on a sale of a probate property, the money doesn't get passed out to the heirs at the closing table. They have to understand that. When do they get their money? When will the funds be distributed? Well, it depends. It can be 4 to 8 weeks if the 90-day creditor's claim filing period is over in the probate court. There's a 90 days that creditors have to file their claims against the estate. Now, if that claim filing period is not over, then they're not going to be able to petition to distribute the money. So now it could be 2 to 3 months if that 90-day creditor's claim filing period is not over. Also, if there's a lot going on, if you got a lot of creditors, then maybe they might have to be paid because what you sold was not homestead property. And if you have a lot of issues, you got a lot of attorneys fighting, saying that they are due fees and a whole bunch of stuff going on, it could be 4 months to a year before they get money or more. So be very careful in promising beneficiaries when they're going to get money. Let your probate attorney evaluate the case and figure out what things are going on that may cause delays. So your timelines, we don't know. Look at it very carefully, see what's going on, and make some reasonable projections. This is extremely important because some buyers just walk away. If it's taking too long, they feel like it's never going to happen. So they go and they buy another property. So the timeline matter needs to be assessed early on so folk can know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and not be discouraged and feel like walking away. I'm attorney Vernita Williams. This has been a VCW Law presentation. We have other information on this same topic. If you want to hear a summary of the key points, please listen to part 7 of this 7-part series. If you'd like to call me with your comments, questions, or suggestions, please call me at 786-831-9483. That's 786-831-9483.